It's Nolan. Now, before we get started, make sure y'all hitting that like button. Make sure y'all sharing it on your respective platforms. Let somebody know what we're doing today. Now, let's get into the show. I dedicated so much time to working hard. I triple that to submit the fact I don't work a job. My God, I was undervalued, underestimated, misunderstood. Had to sacrifice myself for them Franklin's like making good. Fuck it. Gave myself a budget, balancing funds and some crutches. Sit back and watch the industry when they smile, I can't trust it. Hit a 180, these artists in a 360. I plotted from watching Nipsey, I'm swinging like Jack Dipsy. Who these niggas playing? I got my fam in the shit like the Wans. It's like a wedding, how I vow to exchange with these bands. If I needed your help and I never got it, why you hitting up my line? The result could be catastrophic, yeah. I'm philanthropic, I figure fraudulent seeping through. Niggas can't read, so I can't expect them to read the room. Hard to smoke, it's really just feeding fuel. Fishing, I could feed a fool. Try me, you gon' eat from out a feeding tube. I played humble and never got what I wanted. When I start talking cash, the money just start coming. The laws of attraction ain't even outside, but I've been active. Not to mention the rapping, my pen game's scholastic. Southern underground, wavy is an ultrasound. Disrespect us, you get crescent kicked up in your mouth. Bow to my presence, my presidents take precedence. Nas told me hip-hop died, I gave him the EpiPen. I control all of this shit, autonomous. Hacking niggas like Shaq or Anonymous. Y'all been sleeping on me. I'm on the island by myself like an ottoman, y'all. Don't make me fuck up your perception like Oculus, y'all. Freak styles like Akinelli. Nothing y'all can tell me. Thumbs up to murder, Fonzarelli. Buzzing hot as Nelly. Y'all can't compare me to these 2K niggas. I be drilling in your queen like them UK niggas. What's going on, beautiful people? It's the kid J Nolan here. Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Industry, your number one source for music, entertainment, commentary, and breakdowns. Hope everybody's doing well this evening. In this particular show, we're going to be talking about Miss Chloe Bailey. And unfortunately, her and her team are being called out by a songwriter by the name of Forrest. And another songwriter that I've covered quite a few times on this channel by the name of Tiffany Red. Not only is she a songwriter, but she's also an advocate for songwriters to get their proper just due, credit, and payments for the work that they do for these bigger name artists. And at this current time, she's representing a songwriter by the name of Forrest, as I just named. And unfortunately, this guy Forrest wrote a few songs that ended up on Chloe Bailey's Trouble in Paradise album. And he has not been paid not one red cent for the songs that he contributed. Now, as the story goes, he worked with the producer Bongo By The Way. Bongo By The Way has the bulk of the production on Chloe's Trouble in Paradise album. So they were working, him and Forrest were working on some records. Forrest claims that the songs that he wrote originally were supposed to be for another artist in the industry. They were not made specifically for Chloe. Now, Forrest also does quite a bit of writing for Seven Streeter, to my knowledge. So I wouldn't think that it's too far from the imagination to think that perhaps Seven Streeter is who he originally had in mind when he wrote the records that ended up making their way to Chloe. But the producer, Bongo, ended up, I guess, shopping them in Chloe's direction, unbeknownst to the writer, Forrest. Okay? So within the time leading up to Chloe's album, which was released last year, right? And it actually got pretty good reviews, although it didn't perform all that well commercially. Forrest was never informed of his inclusion on the album or that his contributions were used on her album. The producer Bongo knew what was going on because he produced the majority of it, but I guess he never made it clear to Forrest that the joints that you wrote are over there. Now, 2 out of the 3 songs, now I don't know, what the process was in order to get this, but 2 out of the 3 songs actually include his name in the credits. However, there was no payment, and he's not necessarily clued in on the publishing, if I'm not mistaken, for these records either, right? So as I'm talking to y'all, I'm going through the track list, So the songs that Forrest contributed to is Might As Well, and the other is Same Lingerie, and there's one other record on the album that he's not included in the credits for that he also wrote. Okay? So this isn't somebody coming out with a copyright infringement suit that's trying to prove that they wrote the records or that they were stolen and they don't know who did what or what have you. This guy is actually included in some of the credits for the album. However, he has not been paid anything despite being in the public credits, right? Because that's another thing. You could be in the public credits when you go and look on Wikipedia, or when you go look on Spotify or whatever streaming platform that you choose to use. You can see him on there on 2 of the songs. However, he was not clued in on percentages and all of that different type of stuff, publishing, etc. So now they're taking it public because they've been trying to reach out to Chloe's team. They've actually had conversations with Chloe's team, and they allege that they've been difficult, that they've actually downplayed all of their efforts to try to come to some sort of amicable solution, and that Chloe's team, her manager and or attorneys, are telling Forrest that they didn't need his permission to run off with his composition, because that's the side of the record that he actually worked on, is the composing of the lyrics. They say, we didn't need you because your producer gave us the right. That is not true. When you want to seek clearance for a record from somebody, if a producer submits it, there's paperwork that needs to be submitted by that producer and also the writer, or any writers or any additional producers that contributed. Unless there was an agreement signed between the producer Bongo and Forrest that says that he can go out and shop the record on behalf of both of them, and his signature is enough to sign off, which it sounds like that's not the case. All right. So Forrest has an interview with Tiffany Red in which they talk about this exact situation and just the challenges that songwriters face in this industry. I know a lot of people over the years have made it seem like a very glorious thing, but in recent years, we've had numerous songwriters come out and let it be known that working behind the scenes, being the pen for the big name artist, is not glamorous, it's not glorious, it's not even all that profitable. So that is starting to fall, right? Because we've had, remember, Frank Ocean was a songwriter behind the scenes, and he wasn't being treated right. He wasn't getting no love. He wasn't getting the money. He wasn't getting upfront payments. The publishing money he was getting was below livable wage and stuff like that. So then he ran off with his music and then dropped Nostalgia Ultra, which solidified him as a solo artist to where he went off and launched his career. Those were songs that he was probably going to shop to other artists. He ran off and was like, hell no, fuck y'all, suck my dick. In more recent years, we've had Money Long breaking down the mystique of what it's like to work for other artists, because they only call you around when they want you to do shit for them. And then in the back end, they end up taking your credit, even though you wrote the entire song for them. Next thing you know, they want to decrease your royalties by 60, 70%, taking the majority of what you did because they went in the studio and recorded it, basically saying, I'm the bigger draw here. You got to take the pennies. And that's pretty much how a lot of people function until they're able to either launch a solo career or launch other businesses that can keep them afloat while doing these things, right? Because not every songwriter is a great singer. Not every songwriter is a great performer, although many are, but maybe they're not captivating enough. Maybe they're not seen as interesting enough. Maybe they just don't have the budget for themselves as an actual artist because they don't have a record deal. They just have a pub deal that, allows them to be in the studio or what have you. So these are challenging issues of real people. If you actually saw who these folks are that actually come up with the music that we all sing, love, stream, watch on TV, hear in the car, etc., we'll be like, damn, why are you working at Starbucks? You know what I'm saying? Why are you making my sandwich here at Subway? And they're like, shit, I got credits on blah, da, 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 da. but I gotta make ends meet between these checks. Shit get real. So let's go ahead and pull up this interview between Forrest and Tiffany Red, where they kind of get into the weeds of how all this works.
Hello. So I pulled up on Forrest, and we're about to have a conversation about songwriters, making money in the music industry, and what the music industry's reluctance is on paying songwriter fees and points. We finna get into it. Hi guys, it's Tiffany. I'm sitting here with Grammy-nominated songwriter and incredible artist Forrest, and the songwriter behind the infamous Chloe Bailey songs that all of the smoke is over right now. And I just wanted to tap in with him and talk about a little bit of his journey and what he thinks the resistance is with songwriters getting paid by record companies and by artists, in particular songwriter fees and points. All right, so I'm gonna just pass you the mic.
For sure.
Question: why do you think that record labels and artists have such a hard time as we're trying to like evolve this?
I think the first, thanks for advocating for songwriters and picking up the story, because it happened very organically. Me and Tippy know each other for years, but her company, 100%ers, took this case on because I was doing it by myself with my attorney, and it wasn't enough to push the needle. So I think that the labels don't think our voice is large enough to make it important. And then a lot of writers and some producers that aren't leveraged with a bunch of placements, you don't have a bunch of number ones, then how dare you demand to be paid a fee? So I think that's the first thing. And then there's the risk of any writer who doesn't have those accolades. They're like, hey, you don't deserve to have a conversation here because you haven't written this. So we don't have to listen to what you say. Now, even when you get to that level, then you run the risk of, which is what all writers and producers are scared of, which is losing the relationships. Oh, he's difficult. He won't conduct fair business because he won't sign off on taking 5% when you wrote 20%.
And they see that as you being difficult if you don't agree.
Absolutely. That's the part that's difficult.
Why do you think that they view that as you being difficult?
That's a good question. I think that because the practices are unfair, and they've been unfair for so long, that's why it's viewed as being difficult, because they want you to fall in the assembly line of every writer that's been done wrong until they're 50 or 60. And then it's like, oh, they're a legend. We're going to do right by them. By that time, you've bent over backwards so many times. So I think that they just don't want to pay attention to the fact that this is something we're all going through and that we actually can't pay our bills.
And we can't pay our bills so to be clear, like, there was a time when songwriters were making more money, but the streaming era has completely demolished that, right? So that's why people like me continue to scream and shout as far as modernizing the business that songwriters do with record labels and with artists, because our money is non-existent now unless you get the single, it goes to radio, blah, 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 blah. So let me ask you this. What would be your advice? Because you're an anomaly. Most songwriters are not going to take the position that you took, and I'm really grateful that you took the position that you took, because without it, we wouldn't be here. So what would be your advice to a songwriter that may be in a similar situation that you are with Chloe right now?
Contact 100%ers. No, seriously, make sure that you have an attorney that believes in you. I know it's all business and you want the business to be right, but you're going to need an attorney who knows how to conduct themselves over email and to correspond with other people that are representing the labels and the artists. That maybe it's your attorney's relationship. They like, oh, I know that person's attorney, or I'll reach out to them and we can solve it. because that's gonna give you another leg up. Somebody that you can't reach, like the attorney to the A&R to the you need that. I think the next phase is don't be afraid to stand on business. Like if they come into you and you know you wrote 40% of the song, obviously you're grateful for being in this situation. Thank you for letting me in the room, but you're talented. That's why you're there.
Period.
The rest is like, let's just be fair. And, you know, if you shave off a couple of percentages in here and there or whatever, your first time being in the room, whatever, it's okay. But I think, let's be clear. If you know you special, and it's a lot of you to know you special, and you wrote majority of the record, or your energy brought majority of the record to the table, then you deserve to be able to stand on business and say, well, I don't like that. Let's keep working and talking about it until the business makes sense for both of us.
Negotiate.
Until it's uncomfortable sometimes to get the truth. So the truth is, I wrote majority, you wrote some, you did a part, or maybe you produced majority of it. So me and you should split it evenly versus, hey, I feel like I'm leveraged because in the history of producers being leveraged, it's the business practice that we do, so you got to take it. You know, I think that's something that you don't really want to like play around with. I think you want to more so just be aggressive with what you believe in. If you believe that you wrote majority of that song, then you kind of want to lean more towards what you believe in versus what they're saying you should do.
So for anybody that is the music industry that's watching this, because obviously since this whole thing has been taken public and, you know, I've been doing what I've been doing on socials and whatever, like, you know, obviously there's been plenty of people contacting me, contacting you, contacting everybody. So my question is, like, what do you think is being misunderstood through this process? And, you know, can you give the people some clarity on the things that you think are misunderstood?
Absolutely. I think the most misunderstood part is that we want the songs to come out. We want the business to be good. Yeah. We want a relationship with this dope producer as he wants a relationship with the dope writer.
Absolutely.
We attempted to handle it amicably prior to it getting to the spaces it is now. It should not have to go public. I should not go into fight or flight. You shouldn't go into fight or flight. We should both be able to handle it and be like, listen, this is where we're both drawing the line. Let's find a bottom line in this scenario before it gets to F you. We don't need your consent. Or we just gonna put it out anyway and see what happens. So I think that, you know, if that answers your question, like handling it amicably a whole month or year prior, it's not that hard. Having a conversation with the artist you got a relationship with, hey bro, when it's about to drop? Are we thinking sometime in April? Or, okay, cool. Let me know when y'all get the splits. Send it to me. Mm-hmm. Whereas in my situation, I asked the producer several times to send me a copy of the demos. And he's like, we're not sending the demos out. And I wasn't asking for the demos of the artist, but more so the records that we had worked on that the artist liked. So when there's a tension there, then it seems like there's a hidden agenda of the producer, which that may be negotiating a deal that doesn't involve you. So I think just handling it amicably is really the best way prior to the songs coming out. That goes A&Rs, managers, producers. No matter what order it goes in, it all needs to be taken care of so that we can pay our bills too. And we can buy something to eat and not worry about where the next check coming from. And I shouldn't have to be your best friend for you to do fair business. It's just fair business. So I shouldn't have to rub and grease all these elbows just for you to do fair business. If I brought to the table what you wanted the most, which was the talent and the hit song, then you owe me at least fair business. Period. That's all.
All right, one last question and for real we done. My last question is, do you feel like where things have gotten with it being public has been productive? Do you feel like it's moved the needle at all for you? It's helping you? Because I definitely get a lot of feedback. Oh, she's just screaming and this isn't going anywhere. So I want to know, do you feel like this is going somewhere with where it's gotten to now?
Yeah. I've handled a lot of scenarios with Grace these past couple years. I feel like every scenario is gonna be different, and the approach of being an activist is a risky approach because you're an ex-songwriter, producer, you understand what it's like, and currently a songwriter and producer and Grammy nominated and all those things. You understand what the space is like to be in and be treated unfairly. So I think that I think that this has pushed the needle to the next step of progress. And obviously everybody runs from progress. If something looks like progress, they like, oh, stay away from that. That looks like it's gonna change things, which is provokes fear. So they like, you know what? She's too loud. This is that. This guy's difficult. This is that. But I think that we represent progress, and that's what is changing right now. That's what's pushing the needle, is that they're considering maybe we can't pull this off with a lot of writers. So I think that needle's being changed. We hoping that, all the parties involved in my scenario come around and just do the right thing, because I'm not asking for a lot. I'm just asking to be taken care of for my work that was put out without my consent. So I think that the needle's being pushed because we wouldn't be in conversation with them. They wouldn't have responded. So,
Well, I just want to tell y'all that I'm at Forrest's lovely home, and he got to pay the bills around this motherfucker. So I'm gonna need y'all to cut the check. This home represents success. This home represents paying bills off of making music. You can't do this without having a job, and his job and career is his art. And I think the thing that really made me grab onto this, there's a few things that made me grab onto this, but one of the things that really got under my skin was just seeing how many of the fans were so in love with Same Lingerie and that being their favorite record. You know what I'm saying? And so it just is to be great at what you do and to not be compensated like you are, to not be treated like you are, is unacceptable. So yeah, cut that check. Any last words?
God bless y'all. And shout out to all the fire victims. Dropped some stuff off today. Me, Tiff, her friend, we all just been on some what do they need? So shout out to all the fire victims. I know that that's something that's heavy on everybody's hearts right now. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, y'all. Later.
All right, so that's the songwriter Forrest and Tiffany Red talking about the Chloe Bailey situation without giving too many specifics. Again, he had 3 songs on her album Trouble in Paradise, 2 of which that I know of. Same Lingerie, which is a fan favorite. She's done videos reenacting, performing it, etc. There's the record Might As Well, which also features Ty Dolla $ign. And there's a third record that I don't know because he's not listed even in the credits, that he has not been paid for. He never received any type of, release papers for him to sign off on to give consent to the release of the records that he contributed to. As a matter of fact, again, to reiterate, the 3 records that ended up on Chloe's album were never intended for her in the beginning. But the producer, Bongo, by the way, went to her, without him, never informed him that he was dealing with Chloe. He signed the songs over to Chloe and her team without ever getting back to Forrest, which is the gentleman that was just talking. And now that the album is out, because he didn't know nothing about this till the album was released. So now he's trying to recover what was stolen from him. And unfortunately, Chloe's team has not been they were unresponsive for many months. He then aligned himself with Tiffany Red, who does not mind going public and, shitting on people in a way that makes them react. So then after she got vocal about it, that's when her team, her lawyer, her management have opened up the door for conversation, but unfortunately those conversations as of yet still have not been productive, because they're basically saying, we didn't need you, we're gonna run off with this music, she's the artist, you're not important, and as long as the producer gave it to us, we're good, on some one party type shit. And I don't agree with that. I don't think that's cool, especially when we're talking about the writing of a record, which creates the words, gives you the melodies, gives you the direction of the record that you're going to take it in. Without that baseline giving you the infrastructure, there is no song for you to create, right? You could go create another song, but who's to say that it's going to be a fan favorite like this same Lingerie record is? You know, Chloe even has interviews saying that Same Lingerie is her favorite from the album, right? She talked about how much she loved it and enjoyed it and how relatable these lyrics and words were for her to go in the studio and sing it. However, those words came from a young man who created it and is not even receiving his just due for doing so, despite the fact that she loves it. Now, I fuck with Chloe. I rock with Chloe strong. I don't have nothing against her, but I do feel like if you're aware that your team did this and y'all are not doing everything in y'all's power to make sure that he's taken care of, to make things right for any wrongdoing that was done, I feel that that is not right. I don't feel like that's okay, and I feel like that's something that needs to be rectified as soon as possible. Your album came out, what was it, in August? Yeah, it came out in August of 2024. We're now in January. Pretty soon we'll be in February. You've had ample time to get this squared away, right? So I'm hoping that they could get this thing worked out because, again, I rock with Chloe. I think she's talented on her own. I think she's immensely talented. I think she could write and produce her own music moving forward and still produce high-level quality without the work of a Forrest. However, if you're going to use this man's work, make sure that his contributions are also compensated. I mean, that's just fair. So hopefully they could get this thing worked out. At the end of that interview, Tiffany read, she mentioned how Chloe's fans came for him. So they issued a statement, a public statement directly to Chloe's fans just so that they could get some more understanding. And this is what they had to say. Dear Chloe Bailey fans, many of you have urged that this dispute be handled privately and professionally. For the past year, Forrest and his attorney have done exactly that, yet to no avail. Being private and professional has only led to songwriters like Forrest being underpaid, overlooked, and dismissed. Why should we stay silent about our rights as independent contractors being violated, especially when this isn't an isolated incident? It's an industry-wide issue that countless songwriters suffer through every day. Why should we protect those who oppress us or are complicit in the system that exploits us? Are you saying we shouldn't resist? That we shouldn't take a stand? For years, we've been pleading behind the scenes for fair business practice that benefits all songwriters, not just the chosen few favorites. Yet here we are, still fighting for compensation while others thrive off the work we create. As I read some of your comments, it's clear that many of you hold celebrities as your gods and the lifestyle they sell as your religion. This blind loyalty blocks your ability to see the nuance here. By dismissing Forrest's rights and livelihood, you contribute to the culture of silence that allows this broken system to thrive. Songwriters have been suffering in silence for far too long. The respectability politics you want us to uphold mean nothing when the very people you defend don't respect us. Those politics don't protect us. They protect the system that keeps us struggling. Again, this is not an isolated problem. It's a system where everyone, record labels, artists, managers, lawyers, producers, benefit at the expense of songwriters. What you're witnessing is my commitment to transparency and my passion for change. If my voice is loud, it's because they're playing with our money and our livelihoods. This fight isn't just for Forrest, it's for every songwriter who has been exploited and dismissed. With determination, Tiffany Redd, executive director and founder of the 100%ers, which was established in July of 2020, as she, for the most part, retired from songwriting for artists because of these very same issues of being taken advantage of, being exploited, being lowballed, being downplayed, and nobody coming to her defense. Even when she got her legal team involved, at a certain point, she started, giving people upfront fees and saying, I'm not coming to the studio unless you pay me X amount of dollars for me to even come, to which the industry also resisted from that. So she say, fuck it. I'm just going to represent songwriters. I'm not working for y'all no more because y'all don't see my value. So instead of just complaining about it, she took a stand, and now she's taking a stand for others going through the same shit. And just so y'all understand, even with all of the noise that's happening, what they're asking for is not exorbitant, right? They came public and Tiffany Red said that they want $10,000 per track and 3% on the master. Now, I don't know if they're going to get the master, because the master is the streaming and all of that stuff. I don't see that happening, right? But $10,000 per track. I mean, there's 3 records that they took from him or moved forward with without his consent. So that's like $30,000 and 3%, which I highly doubt that they're going to get, or 3 points on the album. But we're still talking about really small money compared to Columbia Parkwood's budget. They could give him $30,000 and send him on his way very easily. They could give him 50 and send him on his way, and he would probably be satisfied. And by the time Chloe starts working on her next album, he would probably be there in the studio, ready and willing to work. So I'm not understanding. I understand that they have a business to protect and they're trying to protect the artist, as in Chloe, but at the same time, I don't think this negative press, and of course, not everybody knows about this stuff. This is a relatively quiet story, because even Chloe Bailey is not necessarily a A-list draw in terms of the music industry. I think she's bigger for her brand and her talent, but as it pertains to like things like this, I don't think people are really paying attention to them. I only talk about it because this is stuff that I really enjoy talking about on my channel, is, finding ways to be equitable for all parties that are creating this music that we all like and love, So again, I'm hoping that the commotion that's being stirred up works out in Homeboy's favor again, because it's not like he's asking for a lot. I could see if he was coming asking for 500,000, even 200,000, or $1 million or some shit like that, which I feel if they don't cooperate, it will get escalated to that at some point for pain and suffering, for emotional distress, for struggling livelihood. You get what I'm saying? I had to downsize my living situation due to this ongoing challenge. Like all of that stuff, eventually, if they keep trying to skirt around him, he's going to go to the courts and file an actual civil suit against them, and it's gonna cost them more on the back end from the court side of it, to the escalation of paying his legal fees, paying this and that. Because all he has to do is show proof that he wrote the records and that they ran off with it and that the producer fucked him, and it's gonna be pretty easy. Again, this ain't his first rodeo. Again, he's done quite a bit of work with 7 Streeter, and it seems like they've always had a good rapport, never had this issue. 7 Streeter, I understand, is not, from a publicity standpoint, not even as big as Chloe, but it gives you an idea that, he ain't just some dude that just woke up one day and started screaming, right? Even in the interview, he didn't besmirch her name. He didn't say anything out of the way. He kept it pretty clean and discreet rather than just throwing everybody under the bus. So I think at bare minimum, he deserves the respect and deserves what he put in. All right. Let me know what y'all think of all this down below in the comments. Be sure to like and share this video. If this is your first time seeing me on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, become an insider, and I will catch y'all on the next one. Much love and respect, y'all. Peace.
King of my city and cul-de-sac. Coming out swinging like soldier rags. Leading my people like quarterback. Boy, I study this shit, I'm an almanac. Had to get up and grind. Knowledge is booming, I'm here to apply. Came with the chip and the dip, it just single the mind. We finna do more than survive. I need my check. Spinning the block for the Gouda, we hitting the jeweler to flood out the net. We don't do beef on computers, I'm straight out the sewer, we come when you rest. Niggas be looking perplexed, so keeping my foot on their neck. No map, I trust my gut for the quest, but drama, I'm fully abreast. I was ready for years and they doubted me. All of a sudden they tell me they proud of me. I been dropping these haters like calories. Cross them out, I came back with some boundaries. Stand for my honor, but too raw, no corner. Packing the stick with a drummer. Wanna catch my bad, one fumble. I done came too far to be humble.